Welcome to the Saturday card from the premier meet in the country as 3-year-old fillies get set for battle in the Coaching Club American Oaks. Sent off the favorite, the Kentucky Oaks. Wet Paint suffered her first career defeat on dirt that first Friday in May. Can she rebound and collect her first Grade 1 win? Trainer Todd Pletcher has won an incredible 8 runnings of this prestigious event, including last year with eventual champion Nest. Gambling Girl will try and make it 9 for the Hall of Famer after a surprise runner-up finish to the Kentucky Oaks. Can this New York bred prove she's a major player in the division going forward? That and more coming up on a special Saturday edition of Saratoga Live. It's brought to you in part by America's Best Racing. For the love of the race, visit americasbestracing.net today. Those coveted spots on the lawn in the backyard getting taken up fast on one of the big Saturdays early on here at the summer place to be here in upstate New York. Glad to have you with us on our FS2 coverage. I'm Greg Wolf, and one of the really prestigious events we have in this 3-year-old filly division that sort of kicks off this second half of the year. Last year, it was the coming out party for Nest, who we're going to see on tomorrow's card in the Chuvy make her return for Todd Pletcher. We'll see who steps forward in this 3-year-old filly division today. Big scratch in this race. We'll get to that in a moment, which has changed things in that Coaching Club American Oaks. Here's what's ahead today, presented by Claiborne Farm. We'll bring you the entire card on multiple networks today. 3 p.m. starts our Big Fox coverage. We're going to kick things off here in just a few minutes. We're 8 minutes away from the first of the afternoon. We'll have the Grade 3 Caress as well. With me, champion jockey Richard Migliori, Sarah El-Badwi, New York Racing Association handicapper. And let's just get to it right off the top. Tom Amos, such a class act on our production call this morning. He apologized to us, had to scratch Hoosier Filly, who would have been the clear-cut speed in that Coaching Club American Oaks. She's out with a bruised foot.
Yeah, unfortunately, these things happen. And, you know, to have her train so well up to the race and come up with a bruised foot right on top of it is certainly disappointing. And Tom owes us no apologies. We all just felt bad for him and having to scratch the filly. But the good news is they caught it early. It's not something that's, you know, career-threatening or life-altering in any which way. And we've had a lot of, wet tracks, particularly in the mornings here. And a lot of times, Sarah, what will happen is horses will go down because they'll go through the cushion and get to the base, and they'll have a tendency to get more hoof bruises when you have more off tracks.
And Tom just handling the entire situation so well, able to have her saved up for another day. Of course, it's a disappointment, but everybody's looking out for the best interest of Hoosier Filly first. We'll see her another time.
Wide open group. Who is going to step forward in this 3-year-old filly division? We're going to find out later this afternoon. Let's tell you how to get started. Play along with all the action we have here all meet long and beyond at Saratoga. Go to NaraBets.com, bet any track, anywhere, anytime, and get that offer, that $200 deposit match, new customer bonus with that code right there, SPOT200. So punch that in at sign up, again, at NaraBets.com. Right off the bat, one of the things we love about this meet, seeing the future stars of tomorrow. It's our Spendthrift Farm 2-year-old race of the day to kick things off on the Saturday action here. 1.16 on the inner turf. Turf is labeled as good in a maiden special weight to begin things, in a 3-5 favorite for Todd Pletcher in Noted, who has a race under his belt at 5 furlong sprinting.
And finished well that day. He didn't break particularly well. I don't think the trouble line's correct. It's just taken up. He did get bumped a bit at the break because he was just a touch slow. But I didn't see Irad Ortiz take him up that day. He finished well. He certainly looks like 2 turns would be good. And he purposely was ridden out after the finish line in the 5 furlong race, I'm sure, to help set him up for a 2-turn race, Sarah.
Here's Spirit Prince as we're into this post parade here at 6-1 Manny Franco for Christophe Clement. Fortune Seller for Kevin Rice.
Kevin Rice, high percentage shipping horses in, and the Grand Dam Sweet Bell was a stakes winner on turf.
10-1 Noble Wave.
One that has some experience. I wish he ran a little bit better last time out, but a start under the belt always helps when you're a 2-year-old making another start against horses that have no experience so far.
Uncle Bo went by for Danny Gargan.
Really good turf works for this horse.
Rudy Rodriguez sending out Back Bayou.
This one doesn't have a ton of pedigree. This one, Rudy Rodriguez just won with a 2-year-old. We'll see if he can do it again in a spot like this. This seems like a tougher field. And the meet's leading rider. 4-win day for Irad Ortiz Jr. on Friday. He's on Noted.
Noted has the benefit of a race, galloped out well, rallied from off the pace, and should be set up well to run a 1.16 here.
It's going to kick off a tremendous Saturday card here at Saratoga. Let's bring in for our Spendthrift Farm 2-year-old race of the day, Maggie Wolfendale.
And Greg, it's a glorious Saratoga Saturday. Pretty much no humidity in the air, and the crowd is buzzing for this CCAO card. And what a good-looking field we have assembled for this first race. And we'll start by talking about actually the first-time starters. I noted, I have nothing against the 1-2 favorite, but I really like number 1, Ask Isaac. He's a first-time starter for Bill Mott by Uncle Mo. The dam went 2 for 4 on the turf. She did win a stake on the sprinting on the dirt. There isn't much pedigree to talk about, I will admit that. But I like this horse's work. 2 back on the turf. He led the work while inside, never let the workmate by, galloped out really nicely, but also showed some gears in that workout. And he walked into the paddock, and he has not changed. That demeanor that you see on your screen right now, that's been him the entire time. He's been so focused, so professional. He's very well suited physically to these conditions. I really like what I'm seeing from Ask Isaac. I liked him on paper, and watching his works come in here, and I'm even more impressed with what I see physically. As number 2 is Spirit Prince, typical Cairo Prince, that dark steel gray, kind of that sinewy type of frame, a little bit more narrow and tubular looking, but nonetheless, a good looking type. He looks pretty fit. He will benefit from a start, but not unfit that he can't win here. He was green with the pony. You see Manny Franco keeping him away from him, but he moved really well, which I do appreciate. So one that I'd like to take the wait and see approach, but I think he could run well here. As we'll talk about number 3, Fortune Seller, Kevin Rice, the whole family, the Rice family, even the ones not named Linda, are very good, especially with their 2-year-olds. They bring live horses here a lot of times and will get to sell them. Now, I don't think Bellamia's stables is necessarily selling this son of Kitten's Joy, who looks like a Kitten's Joy, acted like a Kitten's Joy, but Kevin did really well with handling this horse who wanted to be way too aggressive in the paddock, got him to settle down. Good-looking type, and he's aggressive, so look for him to show that speed, but I like the fact that Connections are keeping a lid on it, so to speak. So I think this horse could run very well, as Flavien Prat will pick up the ride for the sidelined Jose Ortiz. Uncle Bo taking some money for Danny Gargan. Watched his workout. The times are good with this horse, but watching the 1-2 back on XBTV, he was with a filly by the name Justin Nye, and I don't think he was going as good as her, and he seems a bit one-paced, and that's kind of what I saw from him in his OBS sales workout. He is wearing blinkers like he was in that Breeze 2 back. He's a good-looking type. I really didn't know what to think of him because it's actually more of a dirt pedigree, but he moves like a turf horse, so that's fine. I just wish he showed a bit more gears. He might want to even go longer than this, Greg, as this is an interesting field to kick off this day.
Maggie, thanks. Yeah, Uncle Bo, the 5 who just left our screen. We've already seen Danny Gargan win with a 2-year-old at the meet, and he said prior to this meeting, this is the best group of 2-year-olds he has ever had. You think 2-year-old Saratoga, Pletcher, Asmussen, they're going to dominate. Chad Brown with a lot of good ones. He thinks he has the firepower to compete with those barns this year.
Well, you know, it's nice to have a good group of 2-year-olds in your barn. Hope springs eternal. I think Bill Mott is loaded with 2-year-olds this year as well.
There is a lot going on as far as these 2-year-old first-time starters, and I think that spreading the wealth a little bit amongst different barns, you get to see some of those star powers come to light in places that you wouldn't necessarily expect based on past trends.
Meanwhile, that's the big favorite. So all this money, and there's the target on the back of those Micropoli Stable Silks. 3-5 unnoted, who has that turf sprint under his belt with a little bit of trouble in this race as well. Now going to try and get a mile and a 16th.
Yeah, I mean, the way he ran and the way they purposely galloped this horse out. Now you see him finishing resolutely down the outside, and ultimately I think he came up second best. Now he didn't break particularly well. The trouble line says took up. He did not take up. He just broke a little bit slow and got bumped slightly at the break, but no denying he finished well. But Irad continued to ride him out, and on the gallop out, tapping him on the shoulder, making him continue. And usually that's something discussed between the trainer and the jockey before a race. If a horse is finishing well, make sure they get something really good out of it because we want to come back in a 2-turn race.
Certainly indicative that he's likely to handle this stretch out in distance today. The pedigree suggests that he shouldn't have any problems getting a little bit more ground. And I think with a cleaner start, he would have been more of a player in there, though I do think the horse that beat him first time out, certainly a good one for the Weaver barn.
And if you were watching the program yesterday, early on, right off the bat, in the opening race, Jose Ortiz dropped from his mount, went to the hospital. He's day-to-day. That's the good news. Some sore ribs. Hope to see him back sooner than later, but it sounds like it's not too serious, but he is, again, off all mounts today.
Yeah, listen, he's going to be sore, and as sore as you are the first day you have a fall like that, it's worse the second and third day after it. You feel it. The bruises really start coming out, and things that didn't hurt the day before start hurting the next day.
You've had a little experience with that yourself, right, Richie?
Unfortunately, and I don't like the build-up to it. I'd rather just get it over with quick.
Spendthrift Farm 2-year-old race of the day to start this Coaching Club American Oaks Saturday here from Saratoga Live. As Ask Isaac, Bill Mott, son of Uncle Mo, steps in with Junior Alvarado, the 3-5 favorite. That one we just showed you in that 5-furlong turf debut for Todd Pletcher with Arad Ortiz Jr., that 4-win Friday for Arad. He is now 14 wins at the meet. Couple of those pickup mounts for his brother who was injured in that opening race.
Yeah, and he's picked up another one. It's 9-5 in the second race in Paddington from his brother. Unfortunate, but this is a part of the game. Riders understand it. You know, you're going to have falls. You just hope it's not too bad, and hopefully Jose's okay. Just a couple of days off would be fine, considering how ugly the fall looked.
Let's kick off this Saturday card. We go upstairs. Frank Miramati to get us started.
Thank you, Greg. Just a couple left to load now. We have Back By You, one from the outside, and the heavy favorite Noted in the Rapoli Stable Silks to the outside. Todd Pletcher with 3 wins yesterday. They're in the gate. And they're off. And Noted breaks smoothly from the outside and goes straight to the front. Spirit Prince is up and on the pace. Fortune Seller in between them, prominent 2. Noble Wave backs off fourth, 4 lengths off the lead. Then Ask Isaac along the inside. Uncle Bo is next to him, and Back By You at the back of the field. It's Fortune Seller and Noted dueling on the front end. Spirit Prince is on the inside, about 2 lengths off the pace now in third. The opening quarter in 25 seconds flat. Noble Wave is fourth, 5 lengths off the lead. He's followed by Uncle Bo. Ask Isaac is second to last, racing 2 in front of Back By You. Down the back stretch, and it's Fortune Seller, carving out the fractions, leading the way by a half length to heavily favored Noted in second. 1.5 lengths, Spirit Prince third. They've been 1, 2, 3 throughout. Then it's Noble Wave fourth, as they went the half in 50 and 4/5 seconds. Uncle Bo is next. Ask Isaac, Whitecap on the outside, 4 lengths off the lead, 2 clear of Back By You. Fortune Seller takes him around the far turn. Noted just a head away in second. They are followed on the outside by Noble Wave, who makes his bid. At the rail, Spirit Prince, 3/4 in 1:16 flat. Just behind them comes Ask Isaac on the outside of Uncle Bo. They're at the top of the stretch. Fortune Seller hanging tough on the inside of Noted. They're head and head. Noted on the outside, and Fortune Seller just keeps digging in. 3 lengths back to Spirit Prince in third. They're followed by Ask Isaac. Noted takes the lead. Now Spirit Prince is finding his best ride. Noted, Spirit Prince. It will be Noted to get there by a half length. Spirit Prince fired hard, just missed. Fortune Seller third, 3-way photo for fourth.
Noted, the odds-on favorite to kick off this Saturday card. They went slow early in this race, and maybe give Spirit Prince a little extra credit to try and close into those fractions.
Absolutely, Sarah. I mean, it looked like the 2 horses on the lead, Fortune Seller and your favorite Noted, just were in an absolute morning gallop. It was a really good run from Spirit Prince to get up for second, but Noted, kind of a blue-collar victory.
I would agree, and with the short price that he ultimately was, you want to see a little bit more from your 3-5 shot. It seemed like they had an easy time of it on the front end. Spirit Prince, definitely upgradable next time out.
Let's go back into the first turn and take a look at Ask Isaac. White cap, red silks, and has to check here.
Yeah, I mean, you can see the horses come over a little. It looked like I guess it was the 4 horse kind of came over a little bit. And also, it didn't look like Ask Isaac cornered that well.
Yeah, definitely an uncomfortable spot for him to be in, and he does ultimately finish 4th, so maybe one to take a look at next time out.
3-5 favorite formful holding serve to kick off this card here. And number 15 at the meet for Rat Ortiz Jr. Todd Pletcher with his 7th winner. As we take another look here down the stretch, and the way it was going is, I mean, they went slower than that opening 25.13 first quarter in the second quarter.
Well, I think there is still, some give in the ground. We had that rain on Friday, Thursday into Friday, and the stake was run slowly because the ground had some give to it. I think it was a function of both, a little bit of give in the ground, and they just went very slow. Everybody kind of galloped into the first turn.
Noted odds on. There's the Hall of Famer. He'll be trying to collect a 9th victory later today in that coaching club, American Oaks, with the runner-up, really a surprise runner-up, that New York-bred Gambling Girl in this year's Kentucky Oaks.
Well, I'm looking for Gambling Girl to take a big step forward, much like Ness did last year. And I'm not saying she's as good as Ness or comparing to Ness. It's just Ness really put her game together after the Oaks last year.
Absolutely, I agree. I think that we both have similar feelings about Gambling Girl, looking to see her continue that kind of race she put together in the Oaks.
3-5, Todd Pletcher, Rat Ortiz Jr. Poli Stable kick things off. Speaking of Gambling Girl, this is who she's going to face in that coaching club, American Oaks. That was the favorite in the Kentucky Oaks wet paint. That was her first loss on a dirt surface. Gambling Girl, Pletcher says, the longer she goes, the better. We'll see if she can back up that big performance that first Friday in May coming up.
Grade 1 winner on both dirt and turf, War of Will became a classic winner with this victory in the Preakness Stakes. He added turf credentials to his resume with a determined victory in the Grade 1 Maker's Mark Mile. Now his first weanlings are commanding attention in the sales ring.
Right here, 280,000.
191,000.
165,000.
160,000, thank you.
A dual surface classic winning son of Warfront, War of Will, standing at Claiborne Farm.
RaceLens is the most in-depth product in horse racing, with unique features found nowhere else. True odds, predictive analysis, and pace projection. RaceLens. It will change the way you follow horse racing and take your game to the next level.
Back on Saratoga Live on our FS2 coverage from historic Saratoga Racecourse. It's brought to you in part where you can play all the action. Naira Bets. Get signed up, started. Go to nairabets.com and bet any track, anywhere, anytime. It looks like a painting, but that's how beautiful it is up here. Noted Todd Pletcher, Rat Ortiz Jr., Poli Stable. All those connections we expect to see in the winner's circle quite a bit this summer. And they kick off this Saturday card with a W. Let's go to Maggie.
Noted. Do you ever use that phrase when you're talking to Mike Rapoli and Joya Rapoli coming in? Noted, Mike.
Noted. Yeah, I have used that occasionally.
Well, he wasn't. Duly noted. And he was impressive today. Todd, watching his first race, we saw Irad Ortiz really asked him to gallop out. Was that under your instruction?
No, we didn't actually talk about that, but, you know, I know Irad, what he was thinking is that we were going to stretch out. And I told him that day that, you know, this is probably a little too short for him, but get a race under his belt, and if he wins, great. If he doesn't, then hopefully it'll set us up for Saratoga. Unfortunately, it did.
Yeah, nice W to kick off the day, heading into the CCAO Oaks. Gambling Girl, your New York bred filly, good second in the Kentucky Oaks. Talk about why you kept her at Churchill and why you think she thrived down there.
I don't know why, but as soon as we got there, she just started training better than she ever has. Her works there were the best that, you know, we'd ever seen from her, and, you know, I think her run in the Kentucky Oaks was the best race that she ran. So we knew we didn't want to back up to one turn, mile and 16th in the Acorn. So I said, you know what, let's just leave her there, let her train there. She likes the track, and we'll try to run twice at Saratoga and keep her around 2 turns, a mile and 8 plus.
Is there any concern, though, going from that Churchill track to our Saratoga track?
Well, she broke her maiden here, so, I mean, she has had success here. I don't know if she'll like it as much as she did there, but she seems to be doing better than ever, and hopefully we just get a little bit of pace to run out today.
Looking forward to seeing Ness tomorrow.
Yes, doing great, and yeah, it's great to have her back.
We're excited to see her as well. Todd, best of luck. Congratulations here with Noted.
Thank you.
All right, Todd Pletcher kicking off the day in style, but he has several nice fillies coming up this weekend, Greg.
He does indeed. The champion, Maggie asked him about, that would be Nest. That's going to be her first start back Sunday in the Chuvie in that showdown against Clairiere. First start back since the Breeders' Cup Distaff. $3.50 for Noted. 7-2-3 here in the opener.
Yeah, I mean, it start off at a very short price on a horse that figured, but boy, tough to bet on a 2-year-old doing something the first time, 2 turns and all that. He got it done. Had to work hard to do it, though.
Absolutely, and they weren't going that quickly on the front end. That's not how you necessarily want your 3 to 5 shots to win, but a very formful start to the day. And of course, Mike Rapoli looking for some more success today and tomorrow.
Indeed. Let's get to the Coaching Club American Oaks prestigious race that began way back in 1917. Let's go by the numbers for the big one ahead this afternoon. Grade 1 for 3-year-old fillies. There it is, named in honor of the Coaching Club of America, the quickest time ever run in this race. It's Tricky when she beat the Kentucky Oaks winner that year. Plum Pretty, Kieran McLaughlin, the trainer. 8 wins for Todd Pletcher in this race, including last year. Nest would win it, who again we're going to see tomorrow coming back in the Chuvie. 5 wins for John Velasquez, all of them for Todd Pletcher. Mike Smith, 5 as well, including back-to-back with the great Songbird and Abel Tasman. 6 wins for legendary Calumet Farms, spanning from 1944 to 1979. 3 who have won this race have gone on to win the Distaff. Most recently, Monomoy Girl, and 18 winners of this race have been crowned champion 3-year-old filly. Just tells you how important this race is to year-end honors. It will be a compact group, but quality top to bottom, even with Hoosier Filly out of this race. But with her gone, what does that do to the pace of the race?
Well, it doesn't look like there's a lot of pace on in here. I mean, 6, she's looking lucky. Looks like she could be the pace now.
Now let's start with South Lawn and go through this entire group. For trainer Norm Cassie, she beat up on Pretty Mischievous at Fairgrounds earlier this year.
Yeah, but was just better than her at the Fairgrounds. Kentucky Oaks did not run particularly well. It'll be interesting to see if she could rebound. She's certainly a player if she can find her best form.
And Pretty Mischievous, of course, your Oaks winner, who's the leader of this division right now. Wet Paint, Brad Cox, Flavian Pratt.
The Kentucky Oaks favorite that failed to get the job done that day, but was on a roll at Oaklawn prior to that, really against the track. Last time out at Ellis Park, looking to rebound off of that poor Kentucky Oaks performance, but certainly has the back class to do so.
First grade 1 test for Sacred Wish for the barn of George Weaver.
Filly that's very versatile, and I think could set up to get a good trip. She's not slow. If the 6 she's looking lucky goes, she can sit right off her and maybe use her as a target. I think she projects to get a very good setup.
Todd Pletcher, will this be his 9th win in the race? Gambling Girl, the New York bred. She was a surprise when she was the runner-up, losing by a neck at 13-1.
It's a possibility that this is a prep for the Alabama, but of course you want to win this Coaching Club American Oaks as well. I think that she's great at this 1 1/8 distance. We'll see if she ends up getting the right kind of trip with less pace in this race.
And she's going to be a huge price. She's the only filly in this field to have won at a 1 1/8, and she did a gate to wire, albeit on a wet track at Ellis last start. She's looking lucky.
And she's one that probably has to go from the outside. Kendrick is an aggressive rider. He's likely to do that as she steps up. We'll see if she has things to her advantage when she does so today.
It's a question. Who is going to take that forward move in this spot? It seems like a very wide open field, and obviously things have changed a lot with Who's Your Filly coming out.
Well, we talk about it all the time, particularly with young horses. They're changing and developing at different stages. And last year, Ness took a huge step forward from the Kentucky Oaks into the Saratoga meeting, and Secret Oath beat her in Kentucky, and then she had Secret Oath's measure throughout the rest of the year.
We should talk about, too, who's not in this race. Pretty mischievous. She's the leader of this division. She won the Kentucky Oaks. She won the Acorn going to Belmont as well. They're going to cut back in distance instead of showing up here.
And I wonder if that's because maybe they're looking at avoiding going 1 1/4 later on in that Alabama, thinking she might be a little bit better shorter. But take nothing away from a horse that I agree is the leader of this division. Somebody else needs to show us something more the rest of this year.
We will find out. That is race 9, 5:42 Eastern post time for that Grade 1 Coaching Club American Oaks. We're excited. Days like this at Saratoga, it's so much fun because you feel that energy on the grounds.
Well, there's such a vaunted history behind the Coaching Club, and everybody has their favorite races here at Saratoga. You know, obviously some people make their pilgrimage every year for the Travers or the Alabama. Could be the Coaching Club, the Test. That's the beauty of Saratoga. We've got all of these amazing races spread out through basically what is a summer of great racing.
You know, obviously we talk about the Derby a lot, and for a lot of those horses, you know, usually it's 20 horses lining up. It's that big crowd. Horses have never experienced what goes on that day. A little bit like that too for the for the Kentucky Oaks, that you could say it can be a throwout for some of these fillies.
Oh, absolutely. It's the same kind of atmosphere. You really can't tell much difference between Oaks Day and Derby Day. And some horses don't feed on that frenetic energy as well as others. And a lot of horses can lose their race before they even hit the starting gate. So, you know, they've got a 14-horse field. It's a 1 1/8. Same big crowd. Yeah, I mean, you can forgive a subpar performance there.
It's Saturday at the meet. Saturdays and Sundays, things get a little more exciting here at Saratoga in the Light Pick 5. This is the number of runners we're going to have lining up in these races. If you are the only winning ticket in a Light Pick 5 and you play through Naira Bets, make sure you play through Naira Bets, because there's $1 million bonus on the line if you are the only winning ticket.
So you happen to have a great day handicapping, Sarah, which I'm sure you can do. I've seen your picks. And you take down the pick 5, and you're the only one, so already getting a big payoff. And then it's like going in an old coat pocket. Oh, there's an extra $1 million in my pocket.
I think if I found an extra $1 million in a coat, we might not see too much of me up here again. But
you'd still be here. I know you better than that.
As a fan, yes, I'd be watching over the railing like everybody else, asking for your autographs. But how could you possibly not want that kind of incentive if you're already playing the Late Pick 5? You've got to do it with us.
And maybe, yeah, if you hit that bonus, you could probably maybe pay off the guys at the front gate to reserve one of those picnic tables for you.
Picnic table, maybe a couple extra giveaways.
Maybe a cooler.
A cooler, yeah. Hey,
Race
cooler
2.
Day, right?
We'll get to this one next. Very interesting race and who shows up in here. 1 1/8, 50,000 starter allowance. We'll get to Paddington for Linda Rice in a moment. Brad Cox looking to absolutely kickstart a huge Saturday. He's got Deputy Connect. He's also got one who used to be in his barn. It's probably going to be the favorite. We'll be back.
Good Magic's gonna win his first race, and he's gonna do it in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile. Here's Mage coming strongly down the outside. Angel of Empire is putting in his run, and there's 1 furlong to run. 2 Bills on the inside. Right a hole up Mage. Mage has taken the lead here as they come into the final 16, and it is going to be Mage to win the Kentucky Derby.
The classic sire.
Experience the adrenaline-pumping, suspense-filled action of the Sport of Kings no matter where you are with Naira Bets. It's fast, easy, and secure. Download the app today and start winning with our lucrative weekly promotions, thrilling handicapping contests, and a one-of-a-kind VIP rewards program. Don't just watch horse racing, be a part of the action with Naira Bets.
They say breed the best of the best and hope for the best.
Vekoma broke well on the outside. And
but you don't expect to get speed like this.
Is Vekoma the one to catch? Vekoma has a 5-length lead in this Grade 1 corner. Inside Vekoma continues to battle on down at the rail. It is Vekoma who's going to win the Met Mile.
Reach for the unreachable. Race to new horizons. The artisan's quest for beauty burns in the heart of Japan, forging strength like no other, with love and honed to perfection. Noble, authentic, and only here. The legacy of strength.
They're coming to the top of the stretch, and here we go. Monomoy Girl turning for home in front. Midnight Bijou has taken second, and she's got dead aim at her if she's good enough as they come into the final furlong of the Coaching Club American Oaks. Monomoy Girl is in front. Midnight Bijou is all out second on the outside. Chocolate Martini is third. Monomoy Girl's got plenty left in the tank. Oh, what a fabulous filly she is! Monomoy Girl wins it by 3.
One of the greats that completed a run of 4 consecutive Grade 1 wins for the great Monomoy Girl, who is in her career a 7-time Grade 1 winner.
And she was hickory, and she liked to fight too. Horse would get to her throat latch, Sarah, and she wanted a battle.
And for a horse to then have the kind of layoff that she did after winning that Breeders' Cup Distaff that year, come back, win the same race in 2020, just such an incredible horse, and an earner of over $4 million, and what a horse that we got to see in Monomoy Girl.
And this is the one that really launched trainer Brad Cox onto the national scene. He's, since that time, won 2 Eclipse Awards as Outstanding Trainer. He's going to send out Deputy Connect in this race, and this race becomes even more intriguing because of the presence, obviously, of that horse. But then a horse that used to be in his barn, and Linda Rice claimed off of Brad Cox, and ran in that race that the horse was claimed, just a lights-out performance at Ellis in the slop, winning by 19 lengths, the 4 Paddington.
Yes, Sarah, I know you're having a hard time seeing past this horse at a short price. And the way the horse ran, there's even potential for this horse to take another step forward.
Well, I actually don't like him because I think that he's going to take another step forward. I think that even if he regresses slightly, just the advantage that he'll have on the front end makes him a separator in this field, because things were in his favor last time out at Ellis Park. That track tends to favor horses that are on or near the front end. So I don't know that we're going to see the same kind of dominant performance, but I'm done getting in the way of the Linda Rice freight train.
What's up, Doc? For Lynn Cash, I should say, and Jamie Torres will ride on this wet track. This is a trainer we see on the circuit time and time again that steps up, and his horses can run huge.
I thought he was interesting. What's up, Doc? I mean, he certainly run figures, fast enough to put him in the winner's circle here.
Absolutely, and I think this is one that maybe was disadvantaged by the way the racetrack played that day. Both of those races on the same day. I know it might not look like it because one is a little less doom and gloom with the rain there, but they took a significant amount of rainfall that day. So both of them, if you're trying to beat this heavy favorite, I think that you can make a case for both horses.
And Deputy Connect was second in that race, and it was third. What's up, Doc, in here? And for Paddington, I mean, there's questions, too. That big figure that was earned in a sloppy sealed racetrack, and as Sarah, you alluded to, speed did so well there, and this horse was forward. So it's got some questions to answer coming back.
And even a slight regression off of that figure, you know, maybe he doesn't end up being so dangerous in here, and 6-5, a very short price with those ifs to take in mind. But when you consider how well trainer Linda Rice has done first off the claim, bringing horses in from Kentucky, horses all over the place, even here, she is just winning with horses at much bigger prices than this as well.
I was dropping in for 50 maiden claiming on that speed favoring Ellis track at the meet. And this is over already at this point.
Yeah, he draws off to win pretty convincingly in here, track in his favor or not. This was a very dominant performance, even with a short field behind him. Any sort of replication of this kind of race, of course he's going to win. Now, do you think that he's necessarily going to do it again like this? I don't know. I just think that he'll be in front.
You know, when horses win off by this many lengths, I don't like to see them hard-ridden. I feel like horses regress off of winning by many lengths and being ridden hard. And the chart says saved ground easily. He did not win easily. He was under pressure. He was ridden hard. The last 40 yards, Florent Geroux put his hands down, but the horse ran through the wires. A big difference between a horse winning with their ears up and you could see them slowing down. This horse was under a drive till about 40 yards out, and he won all in. He won by 19 lengths, but he could not have gone faster.
And now he's tackling at least a couple talented older horses in this spot too, Sarah.
That's also a fair point to make as well. I think that, you know, if you're trying to beat him, you're looking at likely either the number 2, Deputy Connect, or the number 7, What's Up, Doc. Any interest in the number 6, Centavo, who's just a very consistent type of horse, frequently outruns his odds against pretty stiff competition.
And he gets a rider change to Dylan Davis, and that's no knock on Omar Hernandez Moreno, but he's an apprentice, and Dylan's a journeyman. He's just got more experience, so, you know, you can look at it as maybe a positive.
There's What's Up, Doc for Lynn Cash. Jamie Torres will ride. Kick off the post parade with a hang tight. 17-1 biggest price on the board.
Yeah, pretty deep closer is going to have to bring up his game to compete with some of these.
Deputy Connect for Brad Cox. He's faced some good ones early in his career in straight maiden company. We the People, Kuchar.
Yeah, and as we mentioned, against the track last time out, also a sloppy sealed track, and that was off a little bit of a freshening since he ran at Oaklawn, so maybe he's one to consider taking another step forward this time out.
Beware, there's another Linda Rice runner in the race in spite of trainer.
Yeah, I was just going to say that. The other Linda Rice, the less regarded, but we saw her yesterday, she ran 1-2 with 2 of her runners in one race.
And one of them who had not run a step on dirt and ran huge. Paddington, 6-5 favorite, claimed off of Brad Cox now with Linda Rice.
And with Irad riding for his brother, of course, you're going to take an even shorter price on this horse. I just think that he's ultimately going to be in front. We'll see if he's good enough joining her barn for the first time.
Centavo, 10-1, Dylan Davis for Napal Chatterpaul.
He's just a horse that always shows up. He's run plenty of races that he's in over his head. This might look like one of them, but he's a consistent type. You know who he is. He could pick up a piece at a fair price.
And What's Up, Doc, to the outside, 4-year-old by California Chrome at 7-2.
And this is who I like. I think that he was up against it because of the way the racetrack was playing at Ellis last time, and he still ran commendably. He's got figures good enough, and he's versatile. He doesn't have to be out the back. He could find himself in a decent spot.
And we're still really early on in this meet, but Linda Rice has to be talked about. Just the incredible start she's had. 4 consecutive training titles on this NYRA circuit. She's a leading trainer right now. With that win in the opener, Todd Pletcher gets to within 1 of her. But this is, outside of this horse, or these 2, I should say, for Linda Rice in this race, the 3 and the 4, a couple of scratches today. So the only other runner she has later today in race 11, the remaining half of the entry, 7-2, catch you soon. So she needs to make the most of what she has in today.
Yeah, and again, listen, this is early in the meet, and it's become a marathon, not a sprint. Years ago, the meet was 24 days. We're up to 40 days. Linda Rice is the complete package because obviously she's a good horsewoman. Her horses look good. They're well prepared. But she's extremely savvy in how she places her horses. And from the management side of being a horse trainer, she is just hitting on all cylinders.
Right. She's not only a horsewoman, but she's also very creative and thoughtful in the spots that she puts them in order to be their most successful selves. And that's another level of ability that she's showing when she is putting those horses in the right spots to win.
I feel like she kind of pulled a fast one on everybody, too, because we kept talking about, and that was her philosophy, that she kind of sits back and waits the first couple of weeks at Saratoga, has everyone get through that first condition, and then she pounces and tries to get some wins. She's just so loaded this year that she started so hot because she's been busier than she ever has been claiming out of town.
It's good to be a little unpredictable, right? I mean, because, the way she laid it out, it made so much sense, right? But here she came out firing. I also think it has a lot to do with the fact that she was so active at the claim box in Kentucky, and she had all these horses that she was sitting on, waiting until those meets were over so she can run them. I think she just had horses that were ready to go.
You make an excellent point, Richie. That's exactly what I was thinking about to say, because she has had this stock in her barn waiting for those opportunities to run these horses and giving them a little time to figure them out, letting them hang out in the barn and learning a little bit more about them and where they should be placed. And now she's able to bring them and have success on the track with them.
Now, let's get back to this horse. It's 12-1 on In Spite of Trainer. Your thoughts on the one is sort of being ignored here from this barn. As we've seen to this point, you cannot throw anything out from this barn early on.
Well, you just said this horse is 12-1 in spite of trainers. In spite of the fact that it's trained by Linda Rice, we're still getting 12-1.
Yeah, absolutely. And Jose Lezcano is certainly a very capable rider, rides for Linda Rice all the time. And, you know, if you go to the start 2 back where this horse was a winner, he actually did improve his Beyer speed figure last time out, even though he wasn't successful. And that was a race that she won with Classic Mark, who was first off the claim for her as well. So he's kind of been that other Linda Rice for her, but also does have some ability.
Meanwhile, Brad Cox, we know he has Deputy Connect in here. Let's go to Paddington, though. That was his horse, the 3-2 favorite right now, who Linda Rice claimed last time out. Mulliken, who this horse got beat by in the debut in a straight maiden race, that horse is pretty good, might have some real talent. Is that a quick give up on this horse? Obviously, no one knew he was going to come back and do what he did.
Yeah, I mean, it's a really valid question. I mean, a homebred. This horse wasn't purchased at auction. Obviously, strong pedigree. Curlin, Sea Island, that mare that Shug McGahee trained. Maybe they just thought off of the first race because he was beaten so far that they could maybe sneak one by for 50.
It's possible. I will also say, though, an outfit like Windstar, they have so many horses at their ready to fire those big shots and win races. So perhaps if one didn't show them what they were expecting first time out, they move on to the next, and they found a spot for him where he could be successful. He clearly was. They lose him for 50. They've got plenty of other horses waiting in the wings.
Fair point.
3-2 favorite. The former Brad Cox runner. And the only, the 3 as well. Those are the only 2 3-year-olds in this group. As we get a look at the other one here, In Spite of Trainer. But as for Brad Cox's current horse, Deputy Connect, you look early on to this horse's career and, you know, talked about some tough ones. This horse faced early on, faced Curbstone too, who's turned into a really nice horse going
really
a mile
nice
and an
horse,
eighth.
Yep.
But it's taken this horse a little bit of time to develop.
Yeah, I mean, even go back further, he's second to We the People. I mean, he's definitely kept very good company. I didn't think there was a lot of difference between the 2 Deputy Connect and the 7 What's Up Doc, although Deputy Connect beat him 3.5 lengths last time. I thought the track was totally against him.
Let's go to Maggie.
I'm really out of breath, having mic issues, just sprinted. Probably just as quick as these horses are going to break for the first 1/8 of a mile. Let's play What 2 Things Don't Belong Here. That is Deputy Connect and Paddington. They look like a completely different class of animal than the rest of their foes here. Paddington is very sharp for only his 3rd career start. Look for him to be very forwardly placed here, guys, but those 2 look like much the horse to beat.
You're getting in some early exercise here.
She's going to run faster than all these horses.
Might have set a new track record from paddock to trackside. You and I both think What's Up Doc belongs with this group. We'll find out if this one's good enough.
I think he's a major player here. Listen, if Paddington runs his last race or anywhere close, they're all going to be chasing him.
There he is moving in. Linda Rice claiming off of Brad Cox with the 3-2 favorite. Let's go upstairs. Frank Miramati with the call.
What's Up Doc walking up. They're in the gate. And they're off. Awkward start for Centavo. A quick one for Paddington along with Deputy Connect. Those 2 hook up right out of the gate. Hang Tight is next. What's Up Doc on the outside is 4th. They're followed by In Spite of Trainer. About 5 lengths off the lead. The early trailer is slow starting Centavo. Paddington, easy early lead. Opens up 3 lengths. Deputy Connect racing in 2nd. It's another 2 back to What's Up Doc in 3rd. Followed at the rail by Hang Tight, the opening quarter in 24 and 1/5 seconds. In Spite of Trainer is next, 2 clear of Centavo. Erad Ortiz Jr. has Paddington loose on the front end. running down the back stretch with a 3.5 length advantage. Deputy Connect in second. Hang Tight inches up at the rail third. What's Up Doc 3 wide fourth, followed by In Spite of Trainer and 2 more to Centavo. They went to half in 48-3 behind Paddington. Paddington a length and a half. Deputy Connect trying to come after him now in second. He's now within 3/4 of a length, hustled up hard to try and press Paddington, rounding the far turn. What's Up Doc is 3 behind them in third, followed by Hang Tight, In Spite of Trainer, and Centavo. 112-3 for 6 panels, and Paddington shaking loose again. Opening up 2 on Deputy Connect, and Paddington turns for home in command. What's Up Doc is in third in the center of the track. They're coming to the 8th pole, and it's Paddington clear by 5 easy lengths. Gets a reminder to finish the job as What's Up Doc takes up the chase on the outside of Deputy Connect. A no doubt about it win for Paddington. Ortiz sweeps the double. Paddington by 7. What's Up Doc, Deputy Connect, and Hang Tight.
Paddington looks just as good, maybe better than he did last time out, winning in that sloppy sealed track. Ed Ellis just dominates another field.
Yeah, he did dominate. Paddington was a bear today.
I think the only one that ran faster than Paddington was perhaps Maggie getting over to the track, and this one really, I will say, backing up that kind of performance that we saw at Ellis, because once he was alone on the front end of this race, I thought that that was over. Deputy Connect made a little bit of a run at him, and he just said goodbye.
I'm proud of you, Sarah. Completely ignored that Migism.
Paddington was a bear. You totally missed it.
No, she chose. She chose to ignore.
Meanwhile, you did see Deputy Connect go all in and throw his best shot at Paddington. And when Paddington was able to, kind of shrug that off, ultimately, it cost Deputy Connect second trying to win the race, right? When a horse kind of gets away from you when you've gone all in, it's a bit debilitating for your horse, and that allowed What's Up Doc to grind him down for second.
And I think that this is something you'll agree with. You want to see those moves of aggression that don't work out, more so than the ones of passivity that don't work for you. Flavien tried to win this race with Deputy Connect, knew he had to take a shot going into the turn, just wasn't good enough.
100%. If a rider makes a mistake, or any athlete for that matter, I forgive aggressive mistakes more than I will what you talk about, that passivity, where they don't make a decision and they allow themselves to be victimized.
There's the leading trainer at the meet, Todd Pletcher, inches closer in the opener. Linda Rice says not so fast. Her 9th winner of the meeting. Horse she claimed off of Brad Cox, and this might turn out to be a pretty talented 3-year-old who has now won back-to-back starts in just dominant fashion. Arad Ortiz Jr. has doubled up the rest of the field early on in the jockey standings. Clairiere, 4-time Grade 1 winner. Had to deal with Malathot, the eventual champion. And Crazy Beautiful in this race last year, looking for a repeat in the Chuvy on Sunday. We'll have a preview ahead.
Welcome to the Adelphi Racing Club experience. Take ownership of stakes-winning thoroughbreds like Funny How, racing at the highest level circuits.
Funny How is in front. It's Funny How who's up by 3 lengths, approaching the 16th pole. It's all Funny How. Funny How, Katie Davis more than amused. Funny How wins the Broadway.
Contact us online to get a taste of the Adelphi difference and come hang with us this Saratoga meet.
Back with you on our FS2 coverage. Saratoga Live on Coaching Club American Oaks Saturday at the meet in that 3-year-old filly division. That's coming up later on our Fox coverage. Paddington, back-to-back dominant performances. Linda Rice claiming off of Brad Cox and beating a Brad Cox runner in this race. Arad Ortiz Jr., number 16 at the meet for him. Let's go to Maggie.
Yeah, this padding not to be confused with the multiple Group 1 winning Paddington in England and Ireland for Aidan O'Brien, but with the performances we've just seen from both of his last 2 starts, he could be on his way. I read he was so sharp today in the prelims, and he broke like it too.
He broke sharp. That was the advantage. Linda told me he's right pedigree for the distance. I think he wants to go run long races. He can stay all day, so try to make the lead if you can. If the outside horse goes or 6 seconds, stock him. And he broke on top, so I just let him do his thing, and he got the job done.
All right, we'll see you a little bit later teaming up for the connections that you won the first race for with Gambling Girl in the CCAO Oaks. Brilliant ride in the Kentucky Oaks. Little less speed with the scratch of Who's Your Filly. A, have you been on her in the mornings at all? I know she's at Churchill. And B, how are you going to play things today as she likes to come from out of it?
I don't get on her yet. I think the race not going to be as fast as we thought with the other filly, but I don't want to, I mean, if you try to rush her a little early, I don't think she give it to you what she have, and we tried before last year and don't work out that way, so we prefer to let him be her, let him be whatever she wants to be on the race, and make a run on late.
All right, I can't wait for it. Best of luck later, and congrats with the early double.
Thank you.
All right, Paddington, gate to wire. Looks like a promising one yet again for Linda Rice. And guys, as I said, not trying to reinvent the wheel when it comes to Gambling Girl later on.
Maggie, thank you. Glad you're able to catch your breath a little bit. This horse is exciting, and whenever you put this horse in for a claim and you lose a horse like that, happens a lot in this game, you're going to think back on that one.
Well, listen, we saw a Kentucky Derby winner get claimed in Rich Strike. A trainer's doing their best they can to put their horses in a position to succeed and put them where they can win. And with a lightly raced horse, sometimes it's going to come back and bite you because they have more ability. They're just putting it together. They're getting better.
And I think that's just a part of the claiming game and the risks that you take with that kind of situation, because honestly, there are plenty of claims that you drop in and you think that, you know, the horse is going to be taken, and they don't, and they run pretty poorly. So this one, Brad Cox might be regretting just a little bit, but I'm sure there have been plenty of chances where he's put in horses that he's very relieved that they ended up getting claimed.
Sure. Let's go back to the start of this race. We have an issue here with the 6 Centavo.
Yeah, keep an eye on Centavo. He was acting up a little bit, and he was still somewhat in the hands of the starter there. I think he started his own problem, but if a horse is in the hands of the starter, they have to make the assessment of whether the horse caused the own problem or he was hung up with the starter. And here, obviously,
he broke the gate, right?
Yeah, he started to break the gate, and the start came almost simultaneously. So the assistant starter is caught in between a rock and a hard place. If he lets him go and the start doesn't come, now the horse runs off down the racetrack. If he hangs on to him and the start comes, you have that result. It's such a tough job, and these gate crews across the country do such an amazing job. That's just one of those things.
And that's a split-second decision that you have to make as well. So for him to really try to figure out what the right answer was, I don't know that I would have made the right choice either.
Yeah, it was almost simultaneously with the movement of the doors, and he was just caught in a tough position.
Yeah, declared a non-starter in this race, didn't finish in your top 4 anyway in this group. We'll get to race 3 coming up in just a moment. Well, building on the legacy left by her late husband, Jess Jackson, Barbara Banke not only kept up the tradition of excellence at Stone Street Farm, she has built on it with one goal in mind: producing champions on the racetrack.
Here at Stone Street, we've been the leading breeder of yearlings for 7 years in a row. and we hope to make that 8, 9, 10 onto infinity. So we specialize in the high end of breeding. We breed the best mares to the best stallions and hope for superstars. We produce champions. So we're bringing our babies, our yearlings, to the market, and the buyers know that they have been treated with the best care, and they've been raised as horses on the farm, outside almost all the time, and we have tremendous integrity and do the right things by our horses. So we have a spectacular broodmare band at Stone Street, and it started back in 2003 when my husband, Jess Jackson, bought the first broodmares. We developed these families. For example, Dream Rush, who was a great race mare, won the test at Saratoga, a great sprinter. She was in foal when we bought her to AP Indy and produced Dreaming of Julia. And Dreaming of Julia, who was Broodmare of the Year this year, produced Malathot and Julia Shining. So we developed these families, and we're continuing to do that. We try to keep many generations. When a buyer buys from us, they're getting the guarantee that it's the best we can do. We've raised them the right way, and they come from the best breeding.
First-class operation, and no doubt Clairiere set to join that broodmare band when her racing days are done, but she's got a lot more left in her, it seems like. Championship is on the minds of this homebred for Stone Street this year for the 4-time Grade 1 winner.
I love the way she has the ability to close off of moderate to slow fractions and still get it done. She almost has the turn of foot like a turf horse, but on the dirt.
And I feel as though she's really improved as time has gone on as well, and being able to time that closing run even more efficiently lately. Obviously going to be extremely dangerous in the compact upcoming Chuvie tomorrow. She'll have a little bit of a rival, though, to her inside.
She will. They're going to meet again. That, of course, is Nest, who's a champion 3-year-old filly. But Clairiere with 3 starts under her belt already this year. And for Nest, it's up against the 8 ball a little bit because they wanted to get going earlier this year, but had a bit of a respiratory infection. They wanted to come back in that Ogden Phipps, and they've been set back. So this will be the first start back since the Breeders' Cup Distaff.
Well, I think that's the big disadvantage that she has, that this is her first start taking on Clairiere, who's in raging form already. I'm going to be curious to see Nest as a 4-year-old. The step that she took mid-season last year, did she take another step from 3 to 4? I mean, she was just so dominant up here last summer against 3-year-olds.
Well, and if we see some sort of improvement off of this Alabama performance where she absolutely crushed turning the tables on a horse like Secret Oath, I mean, we're in for a battle in that Chuvie, putting these 2 titans together of the division. And I know some might look at this compact field and wonder where everybody else is, but you have the 2 players that you want to see the most coming into this race.
And even if it doesn't materialize, and Nest is not at her best first back off the bench, I think most people assume it is going to materialize at some point this year.
Yeah, if it's not this time, I think it very well could be next time. Listen, Todd Pletcher wants to see a big performance from Nest. He doesn't want to see a performance that's going to tear her down. This is a starting off point. As important a race as it is, it's still a building block to what is the most important time of the year, especially heading towards Breeders' Cup.
And a building block, too, to another race at this meet, that Grade 1 personal ensign. Joining us for the first time on today's program with more on the champion 3-year-old filly. Let's go to Acacia Clement.
Yeah, can't wait to see Nest back, Greg, as unfortunately she wasn't able to start back this year as early as trainer Todd Pletcher would have liked. Got sidelined for a bit when coming down to Palm Beach Downs in Florida, but back on track now, getting ready for that compact Chuvie try tomorrow, but did work on the 16th in company with an unraced horse named Onlooker. Went 4 furlongs in 50 flat and started a little bit behind. The rider had a strong hold, and she was just going so easily throughout. But what I really loved about this work is that she was allowed to gallop out and gallop past her mate, because when you're watching workouts and you have horses work in company, you want them ideally to finish together because it allows you to read the work a little bit better. If one is just so much inferior to the other, it's hard to really gauge how they're doing. And so they finished the work together in company, and then Nest was allowed to gallop out past her mate. And again, just so fluidly, so strong out on the track. And you see Todd Pletcher put the miles in the morning, which I think is one of those big reasons as to why he is so good with getting horses to run well, going a distance of ground off the layoff. And I would assume that Nest will be no exception. Excited to see her back. She'll have to tackle Clairiere. She has a lot of ability, though, and we'll see if she's taken that big step forward now as a 4-year-old, Greg.
Be a fun battle between these two superstars. So we take a look at the tail of the tape. 5-year-old, as good as she's ever been, Clairiere. Nest, her 4-year-old, return to the races. 7 Grade 1 wins between them.
Absolutely incredible that we have these two facing off against each other, and we'll see if both of them ultimately bring their best race to the table, because we could be in for an extremely exciting showdown if they do.
Played hard, supposed to be in that race as well, would have added even more intrigue. Unfortunately, not going to see her in this race, but I believe is targeting a return for that personal ensign.
Yeah, well, it'll be interesting in a small field like this. You know, pace is always going to be a determining factor, right? And I'm not seeing. Do you see a tremendous amount of pace on in this particular race? In the Chevy, I don't.
No, I wonder if one of the other two horses that are playing are going to try to take this field gate to wire, because that might be their best chance to win. And you have to think that Nest does have the tactical edge on a horse like Clairiere. She can be a little bit more forward, but neither of them have really won with a style that is in front-running fashion.
Just never stops. More and more showdowns to look forward to at this Saratoga meeting. That's race 4 on our Sunday coverage, 3 Eastern start time, as Clairiere looks to repeat in that Grade 2 Chevy. We're going to get to race 3. 5.5 furlongs sprinting on the turf coming up. New York breds in a maiden special weight. Valou's right now favorite. Arad Ortiz Jr., Christophe Clement. You have speed from the inside. Spooky Lady, Rudy Rodriguez. We're going to take a timeout. More on this field for race 3 when we return, as we look at Valou's, the current favorite. We'll be back.
I just happened to be up on the 3rd floor of the grandstand at Saratoga. So I saw a horse load up in the gate and just decided to clock it. Went like 11 and 22 and 33, 44 and change. It was one of the fastest gate works I've ever seen.
Nashville, first time out, much the best.
Spice Down was a super fast horse. Certainly no surprise when he has an offspring like Nashville.
Never asked for a thing, track record.
Nashville for the best sprint time of the Fairgrounds meet.
Like my old boss, Wayne Lucas, always said, you can't coach speed.
RaceLens is the most in-depth product in horse racing, with unique features found nowhere else. True odds, predictive analysis, and pace projection. RaceLens. It will change the way you follow horse racing and take your game to the next level.
The Cross Country Pick 5 combines the best racing from New York with top races from around the country in one bet. Find it in your track menu and play this weekend. Races and free PPs posted at NYRA.com/crosscountry.
Society building a 3-length lead, set down for the drive. She just went past Rafaros, but she's still 5 lengths behind Society, who rolls off the turn, now in front by 6. Society down to the final furlong, now by 7. Drafaros in a good battle for second, with Matt Torreya, nobody catching Society. Streaking through the stretch to score by 9 lengths on the wire.
Racetrack Television Network brings you every race, from every track, on every screen, every day. With monthly packages starting as low as $5, RTN gives you great value and access to more live HD streaming and race replays than anyone. Visit RTN.tv today to sign up and watch on almost any device, including Roku and Amazon Fire. RTN has packages that start at $5 per month.
Back at our Saturday coverage of Saratoga Live at the premier meet in the country here on FS2. Thanks for being with us. on a gorgeous Saturday afternoon here in upstate New York. Greg Wolf, Richard Migliori, Sarah El Badwi, and Acacia Clement with us now as well as we get set for this third 5.5 furlong sprinting on the grass for this New York bred maiden special weight. The 9-5 favorite, the one of the most experienced fillies in this group. As we get a look here at part of the entry, Saratoga for the James Bond barn. He's going to have Jamie Torres aboard.
Yeah, made a nice run last time going a mile, kind of a middle move and flattened out. Maybe the 5.5, Sarah, helps this horse intensify her closing finish.
And she's had less opportunities to sprint on the turf, though she's had a lot of opportunities in general, but perhaps a race like this where she was actually ridden very well, saved ground, got a good split in between horses, and ultimately just wasn't good enough. If she runs these kinds of races again, she's certainly capable, and with some scratches that were very key in this race, it could work in her benefit, as well as being a part of that entry where there's another first-time starter in here. You're taking a shorter price because of Saratoga.
Fair. 5-2 on the entry as we go to Acacia.
And we'll start first with the horse coming back off a layoff, the number 4, Voluz, who does go back to the turf for the first time in quite a while. And she's a horse that, yes, she's had a few chances, but she's only had 2 races sprinting on the turf before. She is after stakes winner Hush of a Storm, whose lone race did come on the turf. She came in wearing a training saddle, which trainers will employ to keep a horse a little bit more relaxed in the paddock and just to not get them too keyed up when you switch to putting the racing tack on. And she's been the ultimate professional here in the paddock. And one thing I will say about her too is towards the end of last year, she was kind of a solid, almost blocky type of filly, and coming back now as a 4-year-old, there's a little bit more length to her. She's kind of grown into her frame, which I appreciate seeing, and she's incredibly fit coming back. I don't have any problems with her getting back on the grass, and we'll see, because she's obviously a horse that could have taken a step forward physically and mentally since those first 2 starts on the grass. The number 3, Lady Fortuna, I'm very intrigued by as she just makes her 2nd start. She was pretty fit for debut, it seemed, but I think she will love to get onto the turf, and especially having that race under her belt. She Slays was kind of the hot first-time starter of that group and was dominant in that effort, but Lady Fortuna, the dam was a 1 for 8. Her only win came on the grass, but the second dam, a multiple stakes winner on the turf. She's forward here in the paddock, and she's a horse that I think, again, will really appreciate the surface switch, but I also think will have benefited from having that start under her belt, as she will be a little bit more fit and I think tighter second time out for trainer Leah Giarmati. Now the 1A, Saratoga, as I'm just watching them finish saddling here, because she had interesting type of equipment recently. Now she does cut back in distance. You could argue that the race 2 starts back for Snowy Evening as the winner should have been the race that she won, and if we can come back on camera here, I'll give you a little demonstration of what kind of blinkers she wears. She wears what's called an extension blinker over the right eye, and that means that her right eye is fully covered, as she does have those same blinkers on. She has a regular blinker cup on her left eye, and then on her right eye she'll have this kind of blinker, so it totally limits her vision to her outside, and they did change that on her recently. She wore that last time, and for horses that even 2 starts back you could see significantly drifted out late. Now Richie, I know that your theory is that these types of blinkers don't necessarily solve that problem, but they can be a guide to help limit what a horse sees to the outside. In this case, nothing to hopefully keep them running on a straight course.
Yeah, I mean, it's a, the conventional wisdom behind it is that a horse won't run to where they can't see. I don't subscribe to that. I don't believe that. I've had too many horses that would run to where they couldn't see. Now, some horses respond very well to an extension blinker, and it does help keep their focus, and they'll hold a straighter line. Most of the time, there's more of an underlying reason why a horse tries to bear out or bear in, whether it's a soundness issue, whether it's a training issue. A lot of times when we breeze horses, we go right down to the rail. So you'll see horses get in a habit of when they pick up speed, their tendency is to go to the left. They've been taught that. They haven't been taught properly. Biggest problem with an extension blinker for me is the start. You have to make sure that the eye that's not encumbered with that extension blinker can see the V, see the crack in the doors, so when the start comes, they'll react to that. If their head is turned sideways, they'll miss the brake because they can't see, because that blinker is keeping them from having that full line of vision.
And is that someone incumbent on the rider to make sure that you're looking straight ahead with that horse?
It's completely incumbent upon the rider, and the gate crew, again, that does such a great job, is also aware of that. Now, if I'm riding a horse with extension blinker, I'm having that conversation with the assistant starter. Let's keep him real quiet, but I'd rather have if he's got an outside extension, I'd rather have the horse's head cocked a little bit towards the outside so the left eye has clear vision.
Just one more thing for those jockeys to think about in the starting gate and make sure that they're planning for what will help their horse break the sharpest. So I think that that's a great discussion that you bring to the table about how this equipment maybe might help a situation, but perhaps it's not going to solve the entire problem.
We saw the Bon Barn too with the 1A stretching those legs out in the paddock. What's the purpose of that?
Yeah, so once they put the girth on, now racehorses and jockey saddles, they race with two girths. You have the regular girth, which would be like for an exercise saddle, different kind of material, but they just have one girth. Then you have an overgirth, which is a safety girth. If something happened, one of your billets broke or the undergirth broke, the overgirth will hold the saddle in place. As safety equipment, you don't have to weigh out with your overgirth. Any safety equipment, you don't weigh with your helmet, you don't weigh with your flak jacket, and you don't weigh with your overgirth, because all of that is considered safety equipment. Once the girth's on and it's snug, sometimes they'll have a tendency to pinch the horse a little bit, or their hair underneath their on their withers, like kind of in their what would be your armpit, right? So they pull the horse's legs out to stretch that, make sure the girth lies in the position it's supposed to, and also it's not pinching the horse's skin.
Terrific crowd on hand for a big Saturday coming up here at the most competitive meet there is in the sport as we get set for a post parade here in race 3. 5.5 furlongs on the turf, and look at Valou's, the 9-5 favorite in here. I know the first 2 turf sprints were the first 2 starts of the career. She hasn't been back on grass since. It's going to need a lot better to beat this field with those kind of figures. Kicking a lot of money right now, but potentially the factor of Arad being aboard as well. Here's Busia to start things off.
Yeah, half to Bricko, has had an opportunity to work over the turf for the Bond family and named for an awfully good Barolo.
Soretta, James Bon Barn as well. Jamie Torres.
Another one named for a very good Barolo. I like the turn back for her. I think last time Mile was just a bit too far. Her race before 7/8 was good.
Speed and the rail with Spooky Lady and Kendra Carmouche.
And potentially the horse to beat with that kind of pace advantage that she's likely to have and that inside type of position. And Snowy Evening, who beat her last time out rather, not that bad.
Talked with Jackie Davis leaving the track yesterday. She's coming for your job, Mig.
Yeah, she said she'd like to do it. I'm feeling the heat from a lot of different directions. This horse took a lot of money on debut. Didn't really show much. Is going to have to turn it around with the turf.
Here's the favorite, Valou's, for the Clement Barn.
Off a bit of a layoff as well as she returns to the turf. Of course, that Irad Ortiz Jr. factor decreasing your price on this horse. She'd have to improve off those turf races, but she didn't break that well in either of them.
This filly put pace pressure on the 6?
It's possible. I mean, she's had less chances than others. She's been rained off the turf twice, but there's no serious difference in her numbers on either surface. Would need to improve in a spot like this to be competitive.
9-1. Katie Davis rides for Ray Handel. Here's the 8. Shaman Princess Dirt Speed. This will be the turf debut. That doesn't always translate to grass.
Correct, but if it does, she would be dangerous on the front end. It'll be interesting to see what trainer Rudy Rodriguez does with his 2 runners in here as they both have some early foot. Will he send them both or leave it up to the riders to decide what happens out there?
5 minutes of post here in this 3rd from Saratoga. As you get a look at the 4 Valou's. Arad Ortiz Jr., 2 wins already on this Saturday card. 16 for the meet. We'll be back. He's on the favorite coming up.
Grade 1 winner and track record setter Lee. Like their sire, his runners have excelled on both dirt and turf, including these standout performers.
Poppy Flowers putting in a late burst here. They come for the finish. Here is Nagarok, who takes off. Nagarok will roll. Nagarok.
Out of a Galileo mare, this dual-surface star has sired juvenile stakes winners on both dirt and turf. Lee, standing at Claiborne Farm.
How do you become the gold standard in racing partnerships? One horse, one partner, one victory at a time. Congratulations to all our partners who have made West Point the gold standard for the last 3 decades.
Beautiful sight. That historic grandstand here at Saratoga. Saratoga Live, brought to you in part by legendary Claiborne Farm. 100 years of doing the usual, unusually well. Race 3 coming up, 5.5 furlongs, sprinting on the turf in this New York bred maiden special weight. And price getting a little more realistic on Velouz. Still 2-1 on a filly that's going to need to improve those turf figures to win here.
Yeah, and I mean, there is pace in here, but is there that abundance of pace going 5.5 to set up Velouz's late run too?
Well, and another thing she'll have to contend with is coming off a little bit of a break as well, as she does come off that layoff. So I think that you're taking her based on the kinds of contenders that she faced in the past, like Lisa's Vision, You Should Be Dancing. Perhaps she can get back and improve off of those races.
Let's go back to Acacia.
And now a Spooky Lady has become your favorite, Greg. I don't have any problems with her, but I think there are a couple interesting new faces, namely the first-time starter, and that is Busia for trainer Jim Bond, as he does have the entry in here. This one's by Mendelson, and the dam, she was 2 for 8 on the turf, and she's had 3 foals to race so far. 2 were winless, but 1 was a 3-time turf winner, and this one certainly looks turf-meant, and Junior Alvarado picks up the mount, gave this filly a big warm-up out on the track, and she's very fit for her debut. I'm very intrigued by her, and I don't think that she'll be super slow early either. And while we have seen Spooky Lady show speed, I'd be shocked if Rudy's other horse, Shaman Princess, did not show some speed from the outside. You never really know what's going to happen when they switch from dirt to turf and if they're going to carry that speed over, but look how sharp she is. I mean, she has been on the muscle. She got herself a little bit revved up back in the paddock and got herself a little bit hot too, which I certainly don't love. But she's a horse that, and my notes last time too, she was kind of acting naughty in the post parade as well. She's a horse that has that early kind of gate speed that you like to see too. She's incredibly fit. I'm not sold on turf necessarily being better, but she does have some pedigree for it in the second generation. Second dam actually won going 9 furlongs on the grass. So we'll see if she handles it, but I think that her best bet, given her demeanor, would be to use that speed as her weapon. I think she just could be naturally quicker than her stablemate earlier. Let's see if she's able to sustain that though, Greg.
We'll find out if that dirt speed translates to grass here coming up. 2-1 favorite has become one we know wants to go to the front. And here's Spooky Lady from the rail with Kendrick Carmouche for Rudy Rodriguez.
Yeah, and listen, it's a very good conversation to have. Rudy Rodriguez has the 2 Spooky Lady, who's speed, the 8 Shaman Princess, who's speed. Now, it doesn't behoove him to have his riders go out and run each other into the ground, so I wonder what the conversation was like in the paddock. I think with the inside draw, Kendrick Carmouche with Spooky Lady has to come out running, and I just wonder if they wouldn't adjust around him with the 8 Shaman Princess if that's the case.
And she's more of that confirmed turf speed where we do still have that little bit of a question with Shaman Princess. And while it's likely that she'll be able to bring that speed over from the dirt, you never know until you actually see it. And I think the post positions, just as you mentioned, they do make a difference for the tactics coming in this race.
That man right there, he is never shy when he's on one with the ability to be forward. Kendrick Carmouche loading up, and Spooky Lady becomes the 9-5 favorite here. Lady Fortuna. Turf debut coming up with Jackie Davis for start number 2. And we are set for this third from Saratoga. Let's go upstairs. Frank Miramati, take it away.
Thank you, Greg. Here is that first-time starter, Busia, for James Bond. Of course, he, like so many horsemen, zoning in on the Saratoga meet. The red colors of Admire My Crown will be the next to load. 2 more, Soretta and Shaman Princess. Shaman Princess going in. They're in the gate. And they're off. Spooky Lady was out very quickly. Admire My Crown has speed. Busia sharp in between them. And on the outside, Shaman Princess. Those 4 virtually across the course. They're followed by Lady Fortuna. Velouz racing in between horses. Soretta outside of that pair. It's Spooky Lady into the far turn, leading the way 3/4 of a length. Busia's in second, 1.5 lengths to Admire My Crown. The opening quarter clicked off in 22 seconds flat. Just behind them, Velouz making headway along the inside, up to take third. And between horses is Soretta losing a touch of ground. At the back of the field is Shaman Princess. Spooky Lady has been there every step of the way, pursued by Busia in second. Soretta on the outside. Velouz, red sleeves, 1 from the rail. They're in the final furlong. The half went in 45 3/5 seconds. It's still Spooky Lady, and now Velouz trying to get to her late. Spooky Lady clinging to the lead. Velouz on the outside, grinding away. It's going to be very close. Velouz or Spooky Lady? Spooky Lady or Velouz? Spooky Lady would not be denied. Fending off Velouz. Soretta third, photo for fourth between Shaman Princess and Busia.
Kendrick Carmouche on the front end with Spooky Lady, able to just hold off Velouz and Arad Ortiz Jr.
A very game performance by Spooky Lady. She made all the pace, broke alertly from the inside. Velouz had an absolutely beautiful turf trip, sat the pocket, saved all the ground, came out, had dead aim. Spooky Lady just did not want to let her go by, Sarah. Look how she dug in when she felt the presence of Velouz.
She really did, and I think you might be willing to say that Velouz didn't necessarily have a big turn of foot, but I think it was more that Spooky Lady was really that sharp in fending her off because she had a host of pursuers early on in this race, able to put them all away and then hold off the perfect tripped out Velouz coming in off of that break as well as Soretta. What a performance from her.
Yeah, I mean, she moved up on the outside like she was going to, be there, and it always feels to me like maybe she's just a filly that has a short run too, and they'd be better off kind of almost held up as long as possible and let her run for 1/8 of a mile and save as much ground as possible.
I mean, she really tripped out in this spot, so not seeing her able to grind out that win, but I think that you can't take anything away from the aggressive move that Kendrick Carmouche made on Spooky Lady, who had been facing some pretty good horses lately and also had that recency edge on Velouz as well.
So Kendrick Carmouche able to put a momentary stop to Arad Ortiz Jr. running away with this thing. Would have been 3 in a row for Arad. Already with 16 wins at the meet, he's already doubled up on this field.
Kendrick's riding well. He's not getting the cream of the the crop when it comes to mounts, but he's making the most of the horses that have opportunities to win.
Hot start at this meet for Kendrick. Goes gate to wire here in race 3 on the 8-5 favorite. 2-4-1A8. We're going to take a timeout. When we return, she ruled the summer of 2013, unassuming pedigree, and she turned into a superstar. Princess of Sylmar. Her story when we come back.
Introducing Gift Box, winner of the Grade 1 Santa Anita Handicap. He's a 3-time graded stakes winning millionaire with 4 triple-digit buyers and a 4 Ragazin to his name. He proved himself early as a graded stakes place 2-year-old, and now his career as a stallion is just getting started. From the first crop of the leading sire Twirling Candy out of a multiple graded stakes producing mare. Gift Box, only at Lane's End.
Experience the adrenaline-pumping, suspense-filled action of the Sport of Kings no matter where you are with Naira Bets. It's fast, easy, and secure. Download the app today and start winning with our lucrative weekly promotions, thrilling handicapping contests, and a one-of-a-kind VIP rewards program. Don't just watch horse racing, be a part of the action with Naira Bets.
Maximum Security proves he's the real deal with a gate-to-wire win in the Florida Derby.
Champion 3-year-old.
Maximum Security has won the TVG.com Haskell Invitational.
11 triple-digit buyers.
Maximum Security. He smoked them in the Cigar Mile.
Grade 1 winning 4-year-old.
Maximum Security takes them all the way in the TVG Pacific Classic.
Maximum Security.
$500,000 in the back. Thank you.
Oh, what a Preakness! It's National Treasure who gets the lead late.
$1 million in the back. Thank you.
Flight line, then full flight. Flight line, 20 lengths. Flight line, and a jaw-dropping, awe-inspiring Breeders' Cup Classic win.
The 102nd Saratoga sale, August 7th and 8th in Saratoga Springs, New York. Where will you be?
Great to have you with us on this Saturday here at Saratoga Springs. Our program brought to you in part by America's Best Racing. For the love of the race, visit americasbestracing.net. Today, Saratoga Live coverage continues. It's Kendrick Carmouche on Spooky Lady. Gate to wire for the win for trainer Rudy Rodriguez and Werner Stable.
A very game performance, broke alertly, held off the early challenges and had enough left to fight off Fallouz, who absolutely tripped out. Perfect inside pocket trip, came out, got room when she wanted, just couldn't get by.
All the right moves made by Kendrick to put this one on the front end early and really able to just show that she was 100% the best horse in this race.
Spooky Lady, 11th time out, able to break her maiden, but just the 3rd time on the turf. The charm here, putting that speed to use. It's a dangerous weapon. Let's go to Acacia.
Kendrick. Pleased to be joined by Kendrick Carmouche as Spooky Lady gets the win. Kendrick, she really dug in for you today.
Yeah, I mean, she ran good. She ran good last time, put up a good effort. I had her in a good spot last time. I thought she kind of hung on me last time, so I got Rudy to put some blinkers on her, not too much, you know, just something to make sure she's running away from horses when she see them. And I saw Iraq coming, but, you know, she pinned her ears back and, you know, she felt it, you know. Rudy had this horse ready to run. I'm just glad that I got to stay on her this time around and be victorious.
You answered a question I was going to ask. How important is it when a jockey's able to give feedback and say, you know, this horse needs blinkers or a different type of equipment, because that can make a world of difference?
Oh, that could make a world of difference if not only the trainer would listen and the jock giving the right information, but not all the time we right, but we get paid to try. And that means a lot. You know, I always want to see the owner and the trainer win races, so I always try to give my best feedback that I feel that I feel on top of the horse. And if it don't work, I'm the first to say it didn't work, you know, but today it did. And we're back in the winner's circle. 5 college movers. They kept me moving today in Louisiana in the house, baby.
I love it. And before you go, one quick question for you. Coaching Club American Oaks coming up. She's looking Lucy, you're aboard. With who's your filly out? Going to the front end?
Even if the other filly stayed in the race, I was going. I was going to make the race for myself, you know. Today, it just made it even that much better when I heard the Hoosier filly scratch. So, you know, catch me if you can.
We'll see if they can. Good luck, Kendrick.
Thank you very much, Akeem.
And you heard him, Greg. Louisiana in the house.
We love it when he wins. Such a great character. He's always got a smile on his face, and he, again, on that filly, who's the only winner at 1 1/8 in that Coaching Club American Oaks.
I love what he said. Even if Hoosier filly was in there, he was going. So he's a man with a plan.
And we can appreciate that. Someone that knows what they're going to do right out of the gate, and that might be her best chance to upset that field.
Race 4 out of the Wilson Chute, this turn-and-a-half mile, $25,000 claiming race for non-winners of 2 lifetime. We'll have more on this group coming up in a moment. Ask almost any owner in this sport why they're in this game. And if they're being honest, they'll tell you it's to find that once-in-a-lifetime horse that'll take you to get your picture taken in the winner's circle on the sport's grandest stage. But for owner Ed Stanko, that was actually the furthest thing from his mind when he decided to breed a mare who had just 1 lifetime win to her name.
Princess of Sylmar.
We call the house that Princess built every day we walk in. It all comes back every single day. Storm Dixie's first race was here at Saratoga, and that was the only race she ever won. 1 for 10. We got her appraised for about $20,000. I said, Todd, I think we're going to breed her. We have nothing to lose. We're not breeders. We're not commercial breeders. What else are we going to do? The markets are low. And so we decided to breed her. We found the ideal candidate for her was to go to Grand Slam. I'm in the office back in New Jersey, and I get a call. 8 o'clock in the morning, Ed, we have a problem. Grand Slam got kicked the night before, has no interest in your mare. None. I go, well, what do I do? They said, well, we've got this young one, Majestic Warrior. Don't worry, he'll be good. I said, but he's a freshman sire. There's no numbers. I said, how long do I have to decide? I got to call my partners. You got about 10 minutes. I said, well, why don't we just do it? She's born on Sylmar Farm. And then it came time to name her. We couldn't come up with a name. Why don't we name her Princess Sylmar? So Ronnie Houghton says to Betsy Houghton, how can you name her that? My God, what if she's not good? She went up to Todd in June of 2012 as a 2-year-old. I said, Todd, she's a PA bred. Let's teach her to win. That's what they said in the Seabiscuit movie. What did I know? The first horse I ever bred. Let's teach her to win.
There's 70 yards to go, and Princess of Sylmar has won it handily.
We brought her up to New York, and we went in an allowance race in December. She won by 7 lengths. And before I got out of the parking lot, I started getting the offers. It was unbelievable. Then we went on, we won the Busanda, and she won that by another 5 lengths. The offer for her at the time was $500,000. I just didn't even think about it. And then Todd called back the next day and said, now they want to offer you $600,000 for her. And I said, Todd, it sounds like a pretty good deal. And Todd said, if she can stay healthy and she goes on to win a big race, and I think she can, will you be able to live with that the rest of your life? And I said, forget it, we're never going to sell her. Close hatches beat us in the Gazelle. Princess came in, I think lost by about 3 lengths. I said, well, I don't think we should look at Kentucky Oaks. Todd said, no, we'll ship her. You know, a horse like this, that's what you do. You go to Kentucky, we'll ship her, and we'll see what we think. So now we're down in the paddock, it's race time. She's 38-1, and I go, Todd, do we really belong here? Todd goes, Ed, there's going to be speed. She comes from behind. We'll be okay.
Princess of Sylmar and Mike Smith with a huge upset chance on the far outside. They're coming to the finish, and Princess of Sylmar has pulled off a shocker in the Kentucky Oaks.
The adrenaline rush is so high that we couldn't remember how we got from the stands to the winner's circle. The only thing I can remember is at 38-1, when you win a race like that, there aren't a lot of people cheering except for your group. Our target race was always the Alabama. That's the race I wanted. That's the one that I thought was really the best race of all fillies, going the 1.25 miles. I mean, that's big time stuff.
And they're off in the Alabama.
They're out the half pole, and Tom says, well, Princess has yet to do any running yet. And then coming around the turn, Tom Durkin goes, you know, here she goes, picked them off, 1, 2, 3. And the place exploded.
They're coming down to the line. Princess of Sylmar ran like a champion this afternoon.
It was incredible. I tell people, you get a glimpse of perfection. You know, my whole dream since I was 8 was to saddle a horse at Saratoga. And then to go on and do this, it makes you humble. I remember my son Randy saying, Dad, she's number 1. She's number 1 in the world. My God, how'd that happen?
Just an incredible story that makes you believe dreams do come true in this sport. My only suggestion, it's the house that Princess of Sylmar built. They got to paint that house in the silk color of the silks.
I'm going to agree with you.
Send an email.
Right?
I'm here for it.
I love that story. I never get enough of it. That Stanko family, I know obviously they're tremendous people. And for that summer, she was the best in this sport.
To have a filly like that and to have bred her, so you're in on the whole process, and you could see the emotion involved, how much she meant. And obviously for a guy from the area, right, to win the Travers, that's a big deal.
No question. Well, we're going to have Coaching Club American Oaks. She backed it up again. You had 38-1 in the Oaks.
I meant Alabama.
I know what you meant.
Correct me. Come on, don't let me hang
Imagine
out.
she won the Travers.
Didn't quite take on the boys, but she was very, very good. Incredible career. We're going to take a timeout. When we come back, Ricardo Santana Jr. back for another go at the spa this summer, and got some good mounts with some youngsters for Steve Asmussen, including later today. We'll be back. Bets Travers Bankroll Builder is back. Place a $50 win wager on one horse in any or all of the selected Saratoga Stakes races and receive a $20 bonus, win or lose. Opt in each week to play at NYRABets.com.
Maracuja on the outside, and there's 3/16 of the finish. Malathon digs down at the rail. Clarier's in between horses. Maracuja on the outside. Now a furlong to the finish in the Coaching Club American Oaks. It is Malathon. Here's a new challenge from Maracuja on the outside. Malathon and Maracuja, they will battle on to the finish in a terrific rendition here, and it looked like Maracuja got it.
2 summers ago, one of the biggest upsets of the entire summer season here at Saratoga in the Coaching Club American Oaks. A filly who would wind up becoming a dual champion, being beat Malathon for Todd Pletcher with Maracuja. Rob Atras' first ever Grade 1 win.
Just a horse that was so good on the day, got the right setup and made the last run.
And Ricardo Santana aboard for that win as well. And it just goes to show that when you have these compact fields, a lot can happen in terms of what the riders decide to do early on.
You see Ricardo, there he is coming up on Yono here. He's going to inherit the inside post with the scratch of the 1. He'll ride for Jeff Hiles here off the clam. Let's go to a paddock report for Acacia.
And we'll start things off, Greg, with the number 3 husband material for my good friends Justin Nicholson and Katie Sharp of AJ Suited. And fun fact, this horse is actually named for my husband, Miguel. As one night we were having kind of a friends and family game night. We were playing catchphrase, and he just said, "I am." And everybody guessed a man, French, the usual suspects. And turns out the answer was husband material. Given the fact that I ended up married to him, I guess he was right. And here is the horse husband material, who just missed last time out at Delaware, was kind of in a stalking spot, moved out to press the pace, and then had to duel. He was lugging in a little bit late. He does have those shortcut blinkers on that they added a few starts back, and he has some tactical speed. I think this just might be finally the right spot for him, as Jimmy Toner's been having a very strong year, bringing this horse in very alert, striding out nicely, well muscled, all the things you'd like to see as your favorite. The number 6 Inspector takes the drop in class after facing much tougher company last time with the likes of Shadow Dragon and Ormstown in that New York bred allowance race, and he was getting himself pretty hot, getting himself pretty revved up prior to that race. He's a big leggy type of horse as well, and while he did technically break his maiden through disqualification 2 starts back, he's yet to cross the wire first. He's even a little bit more tucked up today, which I wish he was carrying a bit more weight and substance, particularly across his flank and his hind end, but he's much more relaxed, which I do appreciate, and he hasn't gotten himself too hot, even though, of course, it is warmer versus when it was the first week of June over at Belmont. The number 7 Achilles heel is Rudy Rodriguez will look for his own little rolling double. I know he goes back down to the 25,000, which is the level at which they claimed him back in December. But even prior to that, he wasn't able to get the job done at this level. And you're kind of banking on those 2 races where he ran strong speed figures in March and April over at Aqueduct. He saddled outside of the saddling stalls accompanied by the pony, but he hasn't done anything naughty here in the paddock. He's been very relaxed, and we'll see if this drop in class is the right spot for him. I think he runs his best races when he is a little bit more forward as well versus left with too much to do. And last time out, just much too tough competition. Maybe this is the right spot, but I still find him, Greg, a bit tough to trust.
Not winners at 2 lifetime condition. That's sort of what it is. Tough to trust with anybody in this field. Tough race to try and handicap here. I don't think anyone should be 7-5 in here.
I agree with you. They're all in the same position, Sarah. They've all won 1 race, and it looks like they're all fairly close. I don't see anybody that's just an absolute standout here.
No, there's no major separator in a field like this, especially with the number 1 Chileno scratching out of this race, who was likely to be your favorite come post time, and also a pace factor as well. With him not playing, everything becomes much more open, and of course we see number 3 husband material taking the money he is, not because of Miguel, however, because of I'd Ortiz Jr.
By the way, this starts a mandatory payout pick 5. It did 2 years ago as well with the Coaching Club American Oaks that included that massive upset of Malathon, and it was a huge payout. I don't remember the exact number, but you'd be good for a year or 2 with it.
Maybe not $1 million, but something worth taking home, that's for sure.
Yep. So these mandatory payout pick 5 is always good to be part of, especially if upsets can happen.
I have a question for you guys. Who's the speed here? Who's the main speed in this race?
I think that with the scratch of the 1, the husband material number 3 is likely to inherit that kind of position. Now, I don't know that anybody is that confirmed all-out front-running type, so I think it comes down to rider tactics, and we know that while Irad Ortiz Jr. can be an aggressive rider, he's not necessarily one that is aggressive with pushing his horses to the front end. So you ask a great question, and I think that it could go a couple of different ways, but now being more towards the inside with the scratch of the 1, it could end up being the 3.
The 4, the 8, they've both shown speed in the past as well, though the 8 has not been shown it of late. Here's Yono, Ricardo Santana Jr. off the claim here.
Yeah, first off the claim for Jeff Hiles. He was 3rd last time out with a better fig than we'd seen from him in a while. We'll see how he does with the new barn.
Husband material may wind up being the fastest. This horse had 5.5 furlong sprint speed.
Yeah, and he looks like he's very sharp, really on his toes, a lot of bounce in his step.
10-1, here's Break the Ice, Dylan Davis.
Steps up from the $25,000 maiden level, facing winners now. Who's a big price. They're going to get 13-1. This is a tougher field, though, hypothetically on paper, than what he faced last time.
19-1, Jackie Davis next door to Dylan here on Boys Code.
Yeah, Boys Code, just more of a deep closing type in a race that doesn't feel like it has a tremendous amount of pace to help a late run on a long shot as it is.
Inspector, the only win for this 3-year-old came via DQ.
And he's never crossed the wire first. And the horse that he was ultimately put up over is not a winning type. He's had many chances. Speaking of Rafua, the drop in class makes sense. We'll see if he fits in here.
Here's Achilles heel, 5-1, Manny Franco.
Has races that are good enough to be competitive here and takes a drop in class with Manny Franco, a rider who demands. He's more of a pilot than he's ever a passenger.
Here's Trevor McCarthy, Winning Connection.
That race 3 back certainly makes him a big contender, but we haven't seen that from him in his more recent starts.
He's had some trouble out of the gate, not necessarily his fault. If he can break clean, a horse could be forward. Strong Light, Jamie Torres riding this long shot.
Yeah, he put a line through last race. He was, bothered on the turf, but even still, his dirt races leave a lot to be desired. He needs to improve.
We expect to see this barn have a lot of success at the meet, but to this point, Steve Asmussen still waiting to get on the board. He's got a talented 2-year-old we're going to see later in the card, reportedly working well. Inspector, he'll send out the 6 horse here with Kendrick Carmouche aboard.
And this is who I like. I think this horse can be forward. I totally understand, Sarah. This is a horse that got put up when he was defeated by a horse who was much happier finishing second in Rafua, right? And he's come back and he really hasn't backed up that race anyway, Rafua. But I do think Inspector with Kendrick Carmouche could turn out to be the speed here. I think this horse can make the lead.
We know Kendrick isn't going to take anything away from him, just like he did in the last race we saw above board Spooky Lady, though that was on turf. And you know that he's going to be forward whenever he can be. This also is a horse that's dropping into the claiming ranks for the first time. That was a maiden special weight race against State Bred Company. I just don't like that the horse that he ultimately gets placed ahead of, just as you mentioned, Rafua, was finishing in the money so frequently, and that he's really tailed off significantly lately as well. So I downgraded that performance a little bit based on the company he was keeping.
Well, and the fact that he has never actually passed the finish line first.
Also
I'm still
problematic.
picking him. I'm still picking him, though. I think he's going to go to the lead and go wire to wire.
Great crowd on hand for a big Saturday ahead. And with that, Coaching Club American Oaks in that 3-year-old filly division. Mandatory payout. Pick 5 again starts here. Closing in on $300,000 in this pool. Let's go back to Acacia.
Yeah, the pace is an interesting topic of conversation in this race, and Husband Material had a really aggressive warm-up out on the track, too. But wanted to talk about the number 2, Yono, as Jeff Hiles actually reclaims this horse. He had him previously, just got beaten a nose for 15 down to 10 over at Turfway, and then dipped back in for 20 last time out. I always pay a little bit closer attention to the horses that are reclaims. I find it kind of a vote of confidence. I find it can be a very interesting claiming angle, particularly with trainers that are sharp claiming. And so I don't necessarily consider this a new horse for the barn and could just be spotted logically. The problem with him is that he just hasn't won in such a long time at 1 for 17 and coming off of that 3rd place finish. Now, much like I felt with Inspector, I do just wish he was a little bit stronger in those hindquarters, as he has the ability to show a little bit of tactical speed, and Ricardo Santana did give him a big warm-up. It's just, as we often talk about, horses push off from their hind ends. That's why you want them to be muscled and strong in their flank, because that's the engine. That's where the power comes from. And so while I haven't seen him in quite a while, I just really wish that he was a little bit stronger behind and a little bit bulked up, particularly coming in off a bit of a freshening. We'll see if 9 to 5, maybe this is just the right spot, as we said, Greg, for one of these.
Acacia, thank you. Again, they're going to break out of that Wilson chute. And Orat Ortiz Jr., there's a look at it. That temporary rail, as it has been all meet long, up to the inside to make it a little smoother transition into that turn.
I love the way they've configured this chute. They've done a great job with it. And the proof to me, Sarah, is I've walked out there to watch races live, and it's been so quiet. And if it wasn't angled properly, there would be rougher runs into that turn. There'd be more contact. Riders would be yelling. It's so quiet. And it just seems like it's a seamless transition onto the main track and into that dog leg left.
And to be able to hit that turn at the right angle, to be able to allow for those horses to all get their position early instead of everybody dogging for the same kind of space. I think that you make a great point about how it's set up.
Fourth from Saratoga, Orat Ortiz Jr. and another favorite, Husband Material. Let's go to Frank Miramati.
Thanks, Greg. Here's Strong Light to the outside. Going in. And they're off. And going out for the early lead is Husband Material. Inspector comes away in second, and Winning Connection is now settling into the third spot. They're followed by Yono. Boys Code is racing in between horses, and on the outside of them is Achilles Heel. It's another 3 back to Break the Ice, who is second to last at this stage in front of Strong Light. The opening quarter went in 24 1/5 seconds, so Husband Material is allowed to set the pace unopposed. A length and a half in front of Inspector second, with Winning Connection on the outside third. Then Yono fourth, Boys Code between horses fifth. Achilles Heel is 4 lengths off the speed. Strong Light right together with Break the Ice. 47 4 for the half mile, and Husband Material just in front, getting pressed now by Winning Connection. Winning Connection on the outside, up to take the lead as the field approaches the quarter pole. He's just in front. A bid coming from Boys Code. It'll be a 4-wide move, but Boys Code, a long shot chance on the outside, trying to get to Winning Connection as the field turns for home. 6 panels in 1:12 4. Winning Connection has the lead and opens up a 4-length advantage. In the center of the track, Yono is trying to get a piece of it. Boys Code could not keep pace. A 16th out. Winning Connection by 3. Yono on the outside getting closer. Winning Connection. Yono a final surge. Winning Connection gets there under Trevor McCarthy. Yono a flying second. In behind them came Boys Code and Break the Ice.
Where's that wire? Winning Connection, Trevor McCarthy able to get there before a hard-charging Yono under Ricardo Santana Jr. came flying. Good for Trevor.
Yeah, Winning Connection turned around in a big way for trainer Pat Reynolds. And Trevor McCarthy gets his first win of the meet. He missed the first 3 days. He was suspended to start the meet. Then he rode 1 day at Monmouth. So limited opportunities. Nice to see him get the winner's circle. And it's always something to build on, Sarah. You need to get that first one out of the way up here.
Of course, getting the momentum rolling for him, getting off the duck. And this is a horse that had races to go back to that made him a major player in here, able to sit a nice stalking trip off those 2 front runners to the outside as well. And we see him return to some of the form he had shown in the past.
5-1 Winning Connection, second win now from 12 starts, and an upset to start a mandatory payout, pick 5. Big one still to come, of course, in that 3-year-old filly division later this afternoon. Grade 1 Coaching Club, American Oaks. Big scratch a Hoosier filly. Kentucky Oaks favorite, though. Wet paint in the race. South Lawn, who'd beat the division leader pretty handily at Fairgrounds earlier this year. from the rail. Let's go to Acacia, get selections from everyone. We'll start off with you, Acacia.
Well, Greg, we'll see what kind of pace materializes in this Coaching Club American Oaks, but I'm still going to go with Gambling Girl. She was a horse that back last year I was a little bit underwhelmed by, and she's just blossomed as a 3-year-old, especially as she's gotten the opportunity to go a little bit longer. Thought she ran a huge race in the Kentucky Oaks, and very interesting that she's been training at Churchill coming back here. Hopefully she can break a little bit sharper and not be left with too much to do, but I think that she is a filly that's getting good at the right time, as Todd Pletcher has a knack to do.
All right, you two.
I'm going with Gambling Girl as well. I liked her Kentucky Oaks. I think she could take a step forward. We saw what Ness did last year with Todd Pletcher as the conditioner, and where Ness just got better and better. And I think Gambling Girl relishes the 1 1/8 and beyond, and also because Sarah is our Gambling Girl, so we've got to go with Gambling Girl.
Oh, don't leave Acacia out of that mix. I'm going 3 for 3 with all of us having some interest in Gambling Girl. She's got a lot of weight to carry, but I just also think that she does appreciate these longer distances, perhaps a building block to get to that 1 1/4 Alabama going forwards. I just think that we've seen some good performances from her lately. If we see a repeat of her Kentucky Oaks, very dangerous going forwards.
I like her too. Todd Pletcher says the further she goes, the better she's going to be. But I know she hasn't won yet at a 1 1/8, but she's been at her best at a 1 1/8.
Absolutely, and the pace will make the race. That's what we're all wondering. Where is there going to be enough pace to help her run?
Coming up next, Coaching Club American Oaks. It's on Fox. We'll be back on later. FS2 coverage coming up tonight after that Fox program. Big one in that 3-year-old filly division. You don't want to miss it on a sensational Saturday here at Saratoga. Grade 1 on the line. Filly, who was the favorite in the Kentucky Oaks. That was her first defeat on dirt. Can she get back to her winning ways? For trainer Brad Cox to get the first Grade 1 win of her career South Lawn. She was dominant leading up to the Kentucky Oaks at Fairgrounds this year, including a win over the current division leader. Pretty mischievous for Norm Cassie. And Gambling Girl, she's popular amongst our crew. For Todd Pletcher, it's up next on Fox.
Drain the Clock will win and win by as much as he wants. He'll win by 6 in the end.
It is Drain the Clock who will bound home the winner in the Bayshore. Drain the Clock, Jackie's Warrior, a terrific finish in the Woody Stevens that goes to Drain the Clock by a head.